Hello everyone. So I got a request to implement a mechanism like this here in this 𝐿 survivor. The character automatically shoots at enemies while we are doing everything else, like moving around. So here you can see the bullets are going from my character, the player character, automatically. We don't have to aim, but I am controlling the character's movement. So this is the mechanism that I am going to try in the top-down game template that I have been working on. So here is the demonstration of what we are going to implement by the end of this episode. Here the green character is player and the red characters are enemies, and I will start shooting at these enemies automatically when I play the game. Here, like this. I can move around, but shooting is automatic. And the character picks the closest enemy to shoot. And once the shooting is done, I can manually aim and shoot as well, but that's just something I already had. Alright, so before we get started, let me remind you that you can download the project files of this project and all other thousands of projects I have done from my Patreon page. I'll leave the link in description below. To the date, there are over 2000 videos, and for each video, project files are available here. And the character you see here is implemented in this third-person shooter series, so feel free to check it out. You can implement everything you see here by following these tutorials. I'll leave the link to the full playlist in the description, and this playlist will contain everything that I'm doing on the top-down series. And this episode is sponsored by this generous patron, Adam Markler. Thank you very much for your support. Alright, now let's get started with today's episode. Alright, so the first step to implement automatic attacking or shooting is to determine an enemy around the character. So just to test this, let me add a NPC. NPCs are by default enemies for the player. So I'll make it red, easier for me to determine. Right. Alright. Now the next step is, let's go to this top-down player controller. And here I'll add a way to determine nearby characters. So to test this, I'll use keyboard event tab, key tab. Let's use the tab key. This is just for testing. And here I run get actor of class. Here I just need to get a reference to the NPC, so that's why I'm doing this. And here, if we have a valid enemy, then I'll promote this to a variable. I'll promote this as an actor, target actor. It's enough to have it in the actor type. This. Okay. Now, when we do have a target actor instead of looking at the location that we are pointing through the cursor, I'll make the player automatically look at the target actor. So in order to do that, here, let me collapse this part. No, look at direction. Okay, now let's go inside here, and to keep things simpler, let me just add a break here, and let's add a sequence, and then exit. So we don't have to worry about connecting all the execution lines into the output. Right, now here let's get the target actor and convert to a validated get. And if it is not valid, then I'll make the character look at the location pointed by the cursor. Otherwise, let's make the character look at the target. So for that, we need to calculate the target control rotation by using the character's player's location and the target location. So get controlled on, this would be the player's location, get actor location, and then get target actor, get actor location, okay, and then find look at rotation from player to the target. Then here I'll set control rotation like this, and set target location in this. Okay, now here I am moving around, but if I press tab, now you see my character focus on the enemy. Okay, even if I move around, my character is focusing on the enemy, but I am not shooting. Oh, actually I can shoot, see? Even though my cursor is moving around the screen, my character was actually automatically targeting towards the enemy character, and we are still looking at him even though the character is dead. So in this particular scenario, we may not need vertical, but I'm just demonstrating this because one of the patrons requested to show me how to do that. So, but later on in the project we might still need to keep the reticles, so therefore I'm not going to remove that for now. Okay, now the next step is how to make the character player automatically shoot. So for that, here if I open this, I think there is a fire event. Fire, yeah, right. So this is input action to start and stop firing, and here we can use this event through CLM character this event fire as well. So here now instead of actually here I can get controlled for and call fire using this. True. Now my character will automatically start firing, but I need to make sure that I have the weapon. So if I press tab, see, my character already starts to fire. And also here, now instead of using this input action, I'll add a custom event, auto fire, and then I'll also add a boolean enable auto fire. Like this, and in the begin play here, let's have a branch. If auto fire is enabled, let me enable it for now. I'll call this auto fire function, auto fire event, through a timer. So set timer by event here. Let's create event auto fire, and it needs to loop, maybe let's say every 1 second. And now here, before we attempt to get actor of class, if we already have a valid actor, then let's check if it is alive. We already have this isAlive interface event defined in the characters. This will return true if the character is still alive. Otherwise, yeah, if the character is alive, then get controlled on. If the character is dead, we need to stop shooting. So if the character is dead, this alive will return false, this value. So fire, if I directly connect this, then it would stop if the character is dead. Okay, now here oh wait, if we don't have a target actor already, then we don't need to worry about anything. We can just go to the next step. See? Oh, it's still shooting. Why is it still shooting? Let me debug and see. It is calling false. Alright, here also, before we start shooting, we need to make sure this actor is alive. So is alive. Now we need to modify this part anyway, because here I'm just getting one reference. I need to get the closest enemy out of all the enemies available, but let's just test it for now. Yeah, see, now it automatically stops. Another thing would be maybe before we set the target, it would be better we check the enemy that we determined is alive. So yeah, you can do it like this. We don't really need to focus on a dead enemy, so can do it like this. Okay, so once the enemy is dead, we are still looking at, because we didn't clear out our target. Here, set target enemy to nothing. Then we will not focus on the enemy anymore. Okay. Now we can freely look at wherever we need. Alright, now if we need to consider a scenario where we have multiple enemies here, how do we deal with that? Let me do it like this. Instead of getting an enemy, let me promote this part to a function like this. Collapse to function, and oh, I can't. Why not? Do I have any later nodes here? Alright, maybe this part. So we can't have multiple outputs. Output flows. Right, get closest enemy. And now here, why it's not returning? Oh, I should have let this part out. Let me undo it. Right, get closest enemy. Okay, now we have to check if this is valid as well. And I can turn this into a pure function as well. It's not necessary to be a function that we need to connect. Right, now let me just quickly check if everything is still working. Yeah, not quiet. If it is not valid, we need to stop firing. So still firing. Oh, okay. Because we didn't consider he's alive here. Or we do. Anyway, let me just fix this function now. So here, get all actors of class, and this would be ls npc, right? Now learner, let's run a for each loop. Then we can just check his enemy. So we can check the team, we can check if they are enemies against the team ID of the controlled pawn. So get controlled pawn and get team ID. Get team. This is the first thing we need to check. If this is true, if they are enemies. By the way, this isEnemy is implemented. It's just simply compare the team IDs, their integers. If they are equal, they are allies, otherwise they are enemies. So if this is true, if that means if they are enemies. And the next thing I need to consider is dead or alive. So is alive. So this is also simply if the character has a higher health than 0, consider the character to be alive. So we need to make sure both these conditions are true. Enemies and alive. If both of them are true, then this is a candidate for the closest enemy. Now here we can distance to. We can find the distance to this actor from the controlled pawn. And if this is less than, so here I'll have a variable current closest enemy distance. It should be a float, and by default it should have a very high value, so that anything that we get the first time would be less than this distance. So if this is less than current closest distance, I'll have another variable, a local variable, current closest enemy. This is more like the closest enemy so far when we iterate through all the NPCs that we get here. Should be an actor. So if this is true, if this is true, then this is our current closest enemy. And the current closest distance is this distance. Okay, and after iterating through all the enemies, we must have the closest one in here. But if we only need to consider enemies within a certain radius, you can have the maximum value the enemy distance can have here. So if you want to consider only enemies, let's say within 500 or 5000 units, then you can put 5000 here. This should be an actor. Okay. I'll call it closest enemy. Right, now here we get the closest enemy like this now. I hope the function is correct. Let's test. Yeah, it's working. We are no longer focusing on the enemy. Now let's test with two enemies. And duplicate this guy. Okay. Now here I have three enemies. Okay. Now I'm shooting them automatically. Okay. I think that's enough for today. So here, now let me test with the radius. As I said, if I want to consider a maximum radius where I consider the enemies, here we can do this. Maybe let's add an input parameter. Auto fire radius. No, just radius. It's should be an input. Radius. And set this distance initially as the radius. Default value I'll set to 5000. Or maybe 2000. Okay. And also if I want to automatically equip the weapon, here I can do this, get controlled pawn, toggle weapon, and the weapon category is primary. Then I wouldn't have to press the button to equip the weapon. It will automatically equip at the beginning like this. Alright, okay, I think with that I can stop this episode right here. So thanks for watching. As always, updated project files will be available for download in the Patreon page. Link would be in the description below. and let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave a comment, or if you're in my Discord, send me a message there. And yeah, see you in another episode. Goodbye.